Big topic, TikTok.
Some people are being a bit dramatic. It's not going to happen. No, it is. Meta must be loving it.
It's Rayban and their smart
Yeah,
glasses.
it just reminds me straight away of Snap goggles.
You have them?
Yeah.
But that was a viral moment in itself.
When I was in New York, it was the first time I'd ever gone for dinner on my own.
I was going to
Did
say,
you enjoy
yeah.
that?
I loved it.
Really?
I read Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. Good morning and welcome to This Week in Social, the podcast where we tell you everything you should know about social if you work in digital marketing. Today I'm joined with Imogen and Bobby.
Hi.
And this is actually our first episode of this podcast. We'll be publishing this every Monday mornings, UK time. So you'll be able to listen to it on your Monday commute into work to get prepared for the week. So happy Monday if you're listening to this.
Lucky you.
I know. Imagine listening to us every Monday morning.
I know.
Yeah.
Can't think of a better
Lucky
way
you
to start the
indeed.
week.
I know.
Cool. So we're going to kick off with some industry updates. So for those of you listening that may not know, we publish a newsletter. So if you're not subscribed to that, please do get subscribed. But we'll be elaborating on the industry updates that are mentioned in that newsletter and kind of giving our professional and personal opinions on them. So big topic, TikTok. So the US Senate has passed a TikTok bill that could potentially lead to the banning of TikTok. Now, it's very complicated. I've done a fair chunk of research on the topic. The interesting thing about it is that Biden has signed it, but has also stated that he wants to continue using TikTok as part of his campaign.
Yeah.
So I think sometimes the language that we use when we talk about this is what they're actually trying to do is to get TikTok to sell to an American company.
Yeah, 100%.
They're basically putting their backs against the wall and saying sell to an American company.
Yeah.
It's not that they don't want TikTok, they just want it in their own hands.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I think it's a bit, I understand why like it's a hot topic and all the rest of it, but I think some people are being a bit dramatic. It's not going to happen. No, it is. It's not.
I don't think TikTok being banned will
Yeah.
necessarily happen. I think they'll have to come to some type of resolution about it. And to be fair, we're not seeing any hesitancy with brands
Exactly.
investing on the platform
Yeah.
still.
Yeah.
So there is a significant amount of budget that is still being pushed through there.
Yeah.
It also though depends on sort of like, because I know Trump as like the Republic candidate for the next US election, he said that he like is fine with it being like Chinese run and all the rest of it, and he's happy with it. So, but again, you don't know if he's just saying that for him to get votes and all the rest of it.
I mean, I don't
it's
think
the whole thing.
Yeah,
Well, he'll
it is
get
a whole
them.
thing.
He will get them.
Yeah, God.
So I think, but it was actually quite interesting because when I was researching this, India banned TikTok a couple years ago now. So there's already been sort of, and they banned a whole load of Chinese-owned apps at the same time. But it didn't stop that type of content. It just, their
there was
creators
other platforms.
just went to different areas.
I think you've got to remember it's one of those platforms that's actually like it's so community driven and the people on it like they're not thick and it's tech, so ultimately if they ban it people will probably just find a way around it too. I think and that's probably it stops it from just like halting full stop in that market. There'll still be people on TikTok in the US.
Meta must be loving it because they're all going to
definitely.
go to Instagram.
I'm just trying to find the stat that I...
What would imagine if this all happened before lockdown? You wouldn't get your Charli D'Amelio's now. Those TikTok dances wouldn't have happened.
I'd be so well read.
I'd be a very well-rounded, educated person if it wasn't for TikTok.
So I was also reading the stat as well, just on the topic of TikTok and how popular it is. So Dash Hudson have recently published, and this is data from Q4 2023, so it's kind of just come about, but TikTok's overall average view count across all industries and account sizes was 143,912, so 145,000 if we round up in Q4 2023 compared to 121,000 and 55,000 for Instagram Reels and YouTube Shorts respectively. So the view count is just significantly outperforming those other platforms. I guess the one thing that some people have been saying is that your Mark Zuckerbergs and people at YouTube, for example, they're quite happy with what's going on with TikTok because it offers an opportunity for their platforms to level up. For people listening, I guess it's quite interesting to hear the perspective of a business like a a lot of our budget is on TikTok, particularly from an organic perspective, paid too. I'd say in the US, actually, brands are dumping more budget from a performance perspective into TikTok than they are in the UK. Like, we're not necessarily worried about the implications of a ban. What I would say is that I would like TikTok to give a little bit more transparency around the data protection issues that people are flagging up, because that would put, we have a great relationship with them. They give us as much information as we can. You know, we're rest assured in certain areas, but it would be better to have a little bit more transparency, and it's spoken about in a language that is easier to transfer to people that don't speak data.
Oh, for sure.
So there's that one. So TikTok will
to be confirmed.
TBC, and it's probably going to be a talking point for every single podcast for the next 6 months.
Yeah.
Pinterest have also shared insight into summer travel trends. Pinterest like to do this. They will publish color trends for the year. They're quite good with their Pinterest trends. So for anyone that's, you know, interested in trends, kind of even like it impacts fashion, like what we're going to see coming up, Pinterest is a really good place to look for that. Adventure travel, quiet life travel, mysterious places, and crossroads quest, Gen Z spotlight. So does anyone know much information about this? Have we delved into this too much?
I mean, I haven't read the report, to be honest, but if you always find Pinterest, they always come out with some surprising ones. They do, obviously, their Pinterest predict.
Yeah.
That's always really good.
It's always a bit wacky as well. Like, it's just very...
Summer nails.
Some are very niche. It was like really particular type of decor, and it was all like water. Like, as in, like, water features everywhere and water beds. And I was like, please let that not happen and be a trend.
The one that I think is interesting there is the quiet life travel. I think a lot of people, like, solo travel is becoming a much bigger thing now. And, like, people are becoming much more comfortable, like, spending time on their own. When I was in New York, it was the first time I'd ever gone for dinner on my own.
I was going to say,
Did you enjoy that?
I loved it.
Really?
I read Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. And had...
Did you feel like Carrie Bradshaw?
I was going to say, did you have a little book stand? Do they provide...
No, I sat at the bar. There was loads of people solo dining. It was quite nice, actually.
See, when people say like they go solo travelling, that honestly scares me.
Are you not at one with your own company? Imogen doesn't love Imogen's company.
Well, again, I think there's such a difference between like solo travelling around Southeast Asia versus going for dinner in New York on your own. Big difference in contrast.
But just know, like, the interrailing backpack solo life is just not for me.
But I could see you doing the New York thing.
Yeah, I could read The Philosopher's Stone in a bar with a nice...
I'm sure you could.
With a martini. Yeah. So is a martini.
Well, I didn't go as far as to, like, have a glass of that.
Really?
No.
Really? I would definitely.
I would probably
enjoy these days, you know.
Especially by myself.
Just luxuriate with a glass of wine.
Yeah. I haven't got there yet.
You look really
don't need the company.
No, I've got Harry Potter and Hermione and Ron to keep me company.
God.
Neville.
Neville. The next one you actually mentioned to me yesterday in the office, Ray-Ban and their smart glasses. So you know a bit more than this. Can you update us? Right. What's
they've released this pair of glasses, effectively frames that have cameras in it. For Meta, I believe the idea is it's going to be very much an AR driven metaverse
vibe.
So
is it a partnership with Meta? Or are they
I think
competitors to Meta?
No, I think it's a partnership between Ray-Ban and Meta, and they've created this pair of glasses. But it's funny. I looked at it and straight away thought,
they're not the Apple.
No, they're literally frames with little cameras in, and it just reminds me straight away of Snap goggles, and the Snapchat glasses they released like 10 years ago.
What Snap goggles?
I don't know if anyone remembers,
but they their time.
Yeah, well, they had these like frames that you could put on, and they had cameras. It looks honestly identical. And you would click the button, and you would start recording onto your Snapchat story. When I first started in marketing, I used to run around the student club I worked in with them on,
well,
taking.
You had them.
Yeah.
Were they expensive?
I think they were like £100, £200.
You just imagine like Bobby like.
Yeah, I know. And then you'd go around. I'd go and like I was covering like stories of the club, and I'd be like, seeing people who weren't supposed to be getting together, film
Should we buy
it.
some?
Yeah.
There you go. Put a budget request in.
Thank you.
Thing is though, when the Snap goggles were out, you'd get the story back and look at the phone, and it would be like 2 pixels by 3 pixels, so it was actually useless. So I feel like they'll only work if
That's really
they're really
sneaky.
if it's a good camera, basically.
I think I understand. What's the Apple thing that they've come out with? Quest?
Oh,
Is it
Yeah.
So I understand that a little bit more than this, to be honest, because this is for video calling and you can have Apple Music in it as well, from what I understand. I don't really need glasses to do that. I'm quite comfortable at the minute. Where I understand with what Apple have come out with is that if I could be sat on the train easily working, not able to have the clunk of like getting my laptop out and stuff like that makes sense to me. Although I would feel like a bit of a sat there with those huge goggles on my face.
Yeah. But that was a viral moment in itself, was people filming people with these like gigantic things, just doing like that in the air.
But I do think there would be like, I could see that in the future becoming more of a thing. I think they need to slim down the design of it.
Oh,
it's like everything,
100%.
like mobile phones were this big and now they're this big.
Or look at
I just think if you can see a camera on it, you're not going to actually want to wear it, basically. They need to be nice looking, attractive.
And something that can be like mass
Incognito.
adopted. Like you don't really want to be the only person walking around. Like you just look a bit silly.
Yeah, no. Whereas these are like they sound as if these ones are like a slim down.
Sure. I think it's a bit of a gimmick to get Meta looking like they can integrate into everyday life a little better, really.
Yeah. I think it's cool from a tech perspective. I just don't necessarily know if like we're quite there in terms of mass adoption at this point in time. I do think though that we will get there to slim down wearable tech that does become mass adopted one day.
Yeah, maybe contact lenses. That would be more interesting.
That scares me. The idea. Does it
Imogen, you work in digital.
Yes, but I'm not sticking some plastic in my eye.
Bobby does. Do you wear contacts?
I actually don't.
All right.
Wait, no, come on. You would not have a bit of plastic.
I don't know, Imogen. I do think we will get to a point where there's something that we wear on our faces, whether it's a slim down glass or whether it's I think or like a watch of, I don't know, but
we're gonna be having kids and like putting like SIM cards in them now.
Yeah, I actually do want like my credit card in my wrist or something.
Check up with your midwife is gonna be like, oh, SIM card.
Okay. All right, on to the next one. So there's new options for Instagram creator subscriptions. So you can have sticker tap insights. Okay, so you can see how many people have tapped your stickers, subscription stories, teaser displays. So it's like, oh, you're missing out on this type thing. Okay, cool. You can prevent screenshots and recordings for people that aren't subscribed to you. Is that correct, Maria?
No, that's bad.
Do you know what Zoe Williams told me about the other day? So I didn't realize that this happened, which is bad. I probably should have. But when celebrities were like putting emojis in to cover like parts of their bodies or parts they didn't want people to see, and you could remove the emojis.
What do you mean?
So people put up like a nude or something like that, and they used like the heart emoji to cover a certain body part.
Yeah.
People could then take that and remove the emoji off of the screenshot and they would be able to get access to the full nude.
Really?
Yeah, apparently it was really easy. And it was like a whole thing. So now when people are doing it, they have to take the image, put the emojis on top of it, screenshot that. Because it's something to do with how the interface works with it. Okay, so what do we think about the Instagram creator subscriptions? It's kind of giving OnlyFans. What they're probably trying to do is take a connotation that it has to be associated with something necessarily sexual a lot, like with subscription. It doesn't have to be that. Like it can be like just a closed community type thing. You know, people have done like when Logan Paul did like the Maverick Club, for example, and that was a closed community where they got access to like business advice, for example. So I think that's probably what they're trying to do
it just comes back to like value and what are you getting for your money, basically. So there needs to be something exclusive. From the creators, though. 100%, yeah. So it's just making sure, is it worth it? I think it works, but like, you just have to be kind of clear on what are you getting from it, and for it to work.
Who's your favorite influencer? Like if you think of like a Matilda Djerf, if you could pay for Matilda Djerf to give you a 6-month preview of what her wardrobe is going to be like, so the conversation she's having with her stylist, what she's working on for Djerf Avenue, would you pay a $5 a month for that?
No.
No.
But some people
I
would.
get, no, some people would,
would.
and I get it, but I feel like you could get the same information just from different creators. Like they will jump on the bandwagon of, oh, well, all of these like top tier influencers are now making you pay for it. Well,
So I'm going to do it for
I'm now
free,
going
and
to do
I'm
it
gonna
for
grow off
free.
the
Yeah.
back of it.
And that's just what will happen.
Yeah, I guess it comes down to the creators being really creative and unique and distinctive about what they're offering there. Okay, well, those are our updates of the week. So now what we wanted to go through was just how, so obviously this is going on Monday. We're filming this towards the end of the previous week. Yeah, what's happened this week in TSS? What are we seeing? What were your peaks and pits of the week? And what are you looking forward to next week? So when this will be published.
Well, I've had a new starter in my team, so that's really exciting.
Yeah, she's great.
Yeah, so that's definitely been a peak for me, and it's just really nice to have some fresh ideas come into the team. I've been loving that.
Yeah.
What about you?
We've got loads of new processes happening. Which...
We do. Imogen and I said before this that we should do an operational podcast, and then we realized that no one probably cares.
Nobody would listen. So we've got loads of new processes. So it's going to be a peak.
But it's not a peak, it's a pit right now.
I would say it's like semi-pit.
Okay.
But it's going to be peak. Or as with any operations and like any new processes, a lot of hard work goes into starting them up. Like no matter what is any change, there's always going to be a lot of like work and effort that goes into that. And then when it pays off, it's going to be the biggest peak that I've ever experienced.
Yeah.
Because I cannot wait for this to just be streamlined.
Do you know
and just
what
happy.
I figured out that we're going to do this week?
What
You're
are
all
we?
this is new information. Google Calendar to ClickUp integration. No more of those double meeting bookings. So you don't have to book it in ClickUp and in Google Calendar. You just book it in one place.
How did you manage to do that?
Well, it took a lot of pain.
That's the next podcast. Is how
Yeah.
to do that.
Anyway, but yeah, you are right, Imogen. There's some stuff going through from that perspective.
But we've also got, I know, like across the board, loads of like really exciting pitches, like final stages. So it's really exciting to see like the team members involved with
big
that.
pitch season, to be fair. Like we've just won a really big project over in Japan, actually. So kind of taking one of our European and US clients over to like that global opportunity, which is really exciting. I had another new business conversation. You can blurb this name out, but with
I've seen this.
but it would be global, so it would be US and UK with like a centralized CS, yeah. So there's a lot going on.
Yeah. So I'd say that's really exciting. Like the buzz that's in the office right now, like around all of that, I would say is really exciting to be around. But yeah, we've also got CS drinks later, which would be nice. Or welcoming two-ish new members to the CS department, Caitlin and Emily. I know they've already been here for quite some time, but we're finally getting that round. And we've got a new starter starting next week for CS.
Lovely.
So,
and you've got lots
stuff.
going on as well.
Yeah.
We've got interviews for the London hub too.
Yeah.
Which we need to go and find an office.
I know.
So we'll get on that. But yeah, no, it's a really exciting. It is a busy old time though.
Yeah.
And I think actually looking back, it was the same last year. In terms of the like, we were like, oh, you know, everyone's got a little bit of downtime, but they didn't have downtime because they were all working to get these projects across the line. It's actually this exact same cadence, which is really good to see some consistency because it means we can plan for next year. Our next point is so I actually this week had to delete TikTok from my phone. Because I got myself into like a really unhealthy scrolling pattern. And I wanted something I wanted to discuss with you guys. Like, have you ever found yourself on a Sunday scrolling on TikTok and then 3 hours later you're like, I really need to get a life?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I feel like anyone who uses TikTok has experienced that at some point. I feel like I've got really rigid boundaries of when I'm using it, to be honest. So I find I don't end up like losing track of time on it too much because I'm pretty routine on when I'm on it for work and when I'm on it for personal use as well. But like I know like my boyfriend's had that all the time. He deletes it all the time because he just finds
it's not good for you to do those like long sessions. Like, and I think like we can say that truthfully, like even though like our livelihood depends on it and we work in it, but it's not good for anyone to spend
No,
long periods of time on a platform
sure.
of that nature.
Yeah.
It is really good when you're traveling at the airport and you've
Oh, it
got
helps
a
you
9 hour
count down if you
delay.
need
That's
to.
so good.
Yeah.
And you can do the download your feed for like
Yeah.
4 hours or whatever. So that's pretty good.
Yeah.
No, there definitely have been times when, from like an unhealthy obsession in regards to like when I found a influencer or somebody that I'm like has that aesthetic or a really cool look, and I'll be looking at them because it's like aspirational and they look a certain way, and I'm like, oh, like what does that person wear? What does that person put on her face?
And then you kind of end up being like a bit of like a comparison.
And then I literally then feel awful about myself like an hour later, because I've just stalked this person's entire feed, which is totally unrealistic. And then I've then like had to then take myself out of it and be like, I've literally just wasted a whole 30 minutes to an hour looking at this American model and thinking, why don't I look like that, or why? But so I sometimes fall into those like traps, but not from like a trend point of view, I would say, but it's more comparison.
I think the thing is that like I will get to a point with TikTok where it's like my downtime. It's like, you know, some people watch reality TV for it, and some people will watch just stupid videos on YouTube. It's like if you've got a lot going on, you can. It's like mind numbing. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
But it is interesting, and I think it's important to try and maintain that
definitely
like, healthy relationship.
Definitely.
So I will re-download it on Sunday.
I had a friend who I sent her a margarita recipe, and she was like, oh, I can't see this, and I was like, what do you mean? She was like, I don't have TikTok, and I was like, but that shocked, but like that honestly shocked me, and I was like,
I do have a few friends that actually work in cybersecurity, and because of everything going on in China, they're like, do not send me a link to TikTok. I will not download the app. Because, well, for their jobs as well, they're actually not allowed to have it on any of their personal devices.
Blimey.
It can be quite polarizing as a platform, I do think.
Definitely.
So I had to show her how to make the margarita.
Okay, so I asked Imogen and Bobby to come up with some unhinged questions that they wouldn't traditionally ask. So they can ask anything they want, and there's no consequences to it. So what do you want to ask?
So, Zoe, if you could work in any department within TSS, what would you pick and why? And you can't pick the current department you're in.
I don't know.
Office maintenance.
The Wi-Fi people.
I would probably I'd pick them all at different levels. I think you get a really good base in organic for social as an exec. I'd be an exec in organic.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I would then be a manager in client services, and then I would go and be a creative director, and then paid.
Just not.
No, I would do paid. That paid was my bread and butter whenever we started.
That's true.
So like,
I thought you'd go for strategy.
but I think like I am. Yeah, but that's kind of. Creative and strategy are very aligned.
Yeah.
And I feel like if you can be a good strategist in creative, that's like the sweet spot.
For sure.
This is such a Zoe answer.
Yeah,
like a little bit of everything.
Like I do genuinely love them all, but I think maybe it would be client services because you get a little piece of them all in there as well.
Yeah.
Creative though, you do get a piece of them all because you might do some performance creatives, you might do some brand creatives. So I don't know, creative or CS.
Okay.
So my question is, I think you'll like this one. If you could have a superpower, but you can only use it at work, what would it be?
Oh, mine's easy. I know you're asking Zoe, but
to teleport, because the travel has taken a toll on my soul recently.
For a second there, I thought you meant around the office. I was like,
I think that would happen too.
Like, I know it's like bigger than the last one, but I wouldn't say it's like, I'm not like out of breath, like going like one end to the other.
If I could teleport, that would make my life so much easier working between the two teams.
Yeah, you, MO?
Invisibility, obviously.
Oh, stop!
I'll go anywhere and everything.
She just wants to hear everything.
One-to-one meetings, I'm there. Board meetings.
I sense Imogen in the room, like
everyone stands still.
I love that.
Yeah.
I think maybe like go reverse time a little bit, because if you ever make a mistake or anything, you could just go back and not do it.
You learn from mistakes, Bobby.
Well, yeah, you learn from it, but then you could just
so then you don't do it again.
Yeah, fair enough. Cool. Okay, so I think we're kind of wrapped up. Thank you guys for joining me on this first podcast.
That's all right.
So we're going to do a little outro. Imogen's actually going to finish the outro, but firstly, I just wanted to say thank you so much for listening to our first episode. We will be publishing these episodes every single Monday for you to listen to, learn more about any updates that you need to be aware of ahead of your week. Please do like and subscribe, click all the buttons that you need to. And yeah, we will see you next week. And I'm going to hand over to Imogen for the outro.
So everyone, I hope you have a fantastic Monday. Live, laugh, love. They're not going to have car crashes. They're going to go, what was that?
You're going to get rinsed in the office too.
All right,
thanks everyone.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
guys.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.